So in this Parsha, an awful lot went on, and I'm resisting temptation to talk about all of it, but let me just kind of hit some of the highlights. That whole red heifer thing. Anybody understand that? Exactly. I'm going to agree with Esther. It is not understandable by us. And I'm going to take the tack that if King Solomon said, I can explain every other law, but I can't explain this one, that's good enough for me. If he couldn't do it, I'm not doing it today. The waters of Merivah. This is the reason that Moshe and Aaron are going to die in the desert. That came up in today's Parsha also. We're not going to talk about that one too much. What I am going to talk about, we lose two people in Moses' family. We lose first his sister Miriam, and then we lose our Aaron. And our commentators make a couple of interesting observations. And in fact, a more modern commentary that I was reading is the Women's Torah Study Guide. The ladies scholars make an interesting observation, which is picked up by earlier scholars also. When Aaron dies, he's remembered for 30 days. They mourn him for 30 days. What happens when Miriam dies? Okay, let's go back a step, though. Do they remember Miriam? And the answer is no. They do nothing to remember Miriam. What was Miriam's role? And you said it, water. And on my family Seder table, we have Kos Miriam, the Miriam's cup. Why? And what do we fill it with? Well, okay, with your Sephardic, I guess, sparkling water. But for us Ashkenazim, Ashbekorim, we go with the plain water. Why water? Okay, it's pure. There's no life without water. And it was Miriam's merit that let there be water throughout the journey. We're told that on the merit of Moses, that the people received the manna. We're told on the merit of Aaron, they received the pillars of fire and smoke to keep them safe. And on the merit of Miriam, they got water. And immediately after she passes, you're right, they begin to whine about lack of water. What does this tell us? Gratitude has a short half-life. They didn't recognize what she did for them in her life, and they didn't recognize it after she was gone. They just started complaining. And I find that so fascinating. Is the age-old thing is, do we recognize and appreciate what we have? And it's hard for us. It's hard to have that genuine gratitude. Gratitude. So there's a difference between thankfulness and gratitude. I'm going to try to teach it right now. This is really, really interesting. Can you do me a favor? Can you pass me the cup, please? That's thankful. Thanks is a transaction. I asked, she offered, I drank. I'm still thirsty. We'll drink some more in a second, but it's a transaction. Gratitude is a way of life. Gratitude is being able to recognize all the blessings that we have. And it's not always so easy. Years and years ago, when I worked at Beit Shuvah, the Jewish Addiction Recovery Center, one morning at breakfast, lots and lots and lots of grumbling and complaining. Now, admittedly, Beit Shuvah is kind of like the army. If you don't hear any complaining, that's when you have to worry. But they were complaining. And one of the counselors stood up and he started yelling at them. I don't hear the gratitude. How many of you guys and gals woke up this morning in a bed and not in the gutter? How many of you woke up in a bed with blankets instead of using mud to keep you warm? How many of you had a breakfast today that you didn't take out of a trash can? And I went through a whole long litany like this. I admit, some days it's hard to find what to be grateful for. But I would observe sometimes it's right in front of us, and our challenge is to recognize it. The children of Israel enjoyed the water that Miriam provided for years, but they didn't recognize her efforts. They didn't recognize all that she did. And when she passed, they didn't remember her either. The floor is open. I always say one of my guiding philosophies is I want to leave the room smarter than when I entered it. Now, my friend Peter was saying, geez, Ron, that's a pretty low bar. But that being said, I enjoy these discussions. I enjoy hearing ideas and hearing questions. Thoughts before we go on with the service? Yes. Uh-huh. So let me repeat that because it bears repeating. Judaism is a patriarchal religion, and the women are not as valued. I have to say this. Well, it's hard to make the case that Judaism is not in its history patriarchal. To say that women are not valued is hard, though it's interesting. I was thinking about this during we were doing the morning blessings. There's a couple of blessings that in the conservative movement we don't say anymore, but I'm going to bet several people here remember them. We say first, Shelo Asani Goy. Thank you for not making me a non-Jew. What do the guys say? Yeah, Shelo Asani Isha. And it's a strange idea. When you think about it, half the world's population is female and you get along quite nicely. But in times gone by, this was a reason to give thanks that you weren't born female. It puzzles me. It puzzles me. It feels like an idea from times gone by that doesn't apply to us so much. My friends, we continue with the service. Let me just see